How's it going, everyone? Welcome. Julio Gonzalez here. And today I want to now explore is the Get Started book from the series of book written by Kyle Simpson, the You Don't Know GS, as a way to finally close the gap from the fundamental level of what is the current state of JavaScript and therefore now understand is the pillar of the language according to uh, well Kyle Simpson, right? But I will say that this is the pillar of synchronous JavaScript because JavaScript has now another part in its anatomy, all right, which is the asynchronous nature. Again, that go beyond the scope of today's video. The TLDR of that asynchronous nature is that this is the way how now JavaScript based on the platform is able to handle this concurrent tests. So tasks that overlaps at a time. So that's what we have now callbacks. We also have is thunk, promise. The way to describe now not only is a flow of execution but also data flow with promise, and what is generators and iterators, which allow us to mimic or simulate that that we are now executing a synchronous code task that overlaps at a time in a synchronous fashion using now the generators and the iterators, where this gives us the ability to now get into a function execution, pause, and resume at some point in the future. Please give me a second here. Give me a second. I'll be right back. And we're back. So, what happened is that because we want to know more about in depth this, I just want to take notes out of this. And in today's video, we want to look at these two particular chapters. All right, for the chapter 1 and the chapter 2. So chapter 1, what is JavaScript? Right. So that's a very silly question if you're quite familiar to JavaScript. But since JavaScript is an ever-evolving language, and there still be people that needs to develop on that, okay, on JavaScript, as well as know the database and yada 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 yada, right? So let's take a look at this. So you don't know JS yet, neither do I, not fully anyway. None of us do, but we can all start getting to know JavaScript better. In this first chat, okay, that's a very interesting age. So you don't know JavaScript yet, neither do I, not fully anyway. None of us do, but we can get out, but we can all start getting to know JavaScript better. In this first chapter of the first book of the You Don't Know JavaScript yet, yet, all right, series, we will take some time to build a foundations to move on forward, and we need to start by covering a variety of important background housekeeping details. And this is it. This is it, man. This is it. This is it. So we are going to look a variety of house cleaning or housekeeping, a variety of important background, okay, a variety of important background house housekeeping detail, housekeeping details. That to me is quite interesting. What in the F is housekeeping? Details. All right. May I want to know? Housekeeping. Oh, okay. The housekeeping. All right. Okay. Management of household chores. I get it. Girl guides cleaning a room. What the fuck is for the in 1970? Shit, that was a while. Holy fuck, almost 100 what? 105 years ago. God damn it. 105 years ago. Oh my god. That's so mind blowing. Oh my god, that's so mind blowing. Holy moly. Okay. Housekeeping. Housekeeping. Housekeeping, house cleaning. Stuff that you need to do. Housekeeping, as well as maintenance of computers storage. This is a more broad role than a cleaner, who is focused only on cleaning aspect. The term is also used to refer to the money allocated for such use. By extension, it may also refer to an office or a corporation, as well as the maintenance of computer storage systems. Housekeeping. So anytime that you need to do some storage data, you get this, you get this, you get this. Holy moly! All right, okay. Housekeeping. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So we're going to look at variety. Okay, we're gonna look at a variety of important backgrounds. Okay, at a variety of important background. Really? Okay. Oh, we need to start by covering a variety. Okay, exactly, exactly. We need to start. So we need to start by looking we need to start by looking a variety of important background housekeeping. We need to start by looking a variety topics, a variety important topics, uh, a variety of important background. So we need to start by looking at a variety of important background housekeeping. Housekeeping concept, housekeeping details, clearing up some myth, housekeeping details. Exactly. Clearing up some myth. All right. Clearing up some myth and misconception about what the language really is. And misconception about what the language is it. And some myth about what the language it is. But what the language really and isn't. Really is and isn't. What a language really is. But this myth and misconception about what the language is what there really is. Hmm. Okay, but we need to look at this important background housekeeping details. All right. Cleaning up some myth. Housekeeping detail, man. Interesting. Okay, so there's important housekeeping details. Okay. Housekeeping details. Some myth and misconceptions about it. Some myth and misconceptions about it. Hmm. Some myth and misconceptions about it. All right. And some misconception about what the language really is and isn't. This is a valuable insight into the identity. Okay, this is valuable insight into the identity and process of how JavaScript is organized and maintained. All JavaScript should understand it. If you want to get to know JavaScript, this is how to get started tackling the first step in your journey. So I emphasize the word about becoming. I emphasize the word journey because knowing JavaScript is not a destination; it's a direction. No matter how much time you spend with the language, you will always be able to find something else to learn and understand a little better. Exactly, exactly. But the idea is that to make it this systemically, we can now describe that in the most time efficient way possible, have the clarity to describe what are the things that we want to implement based on product requirements or even our own uh, side uh, side projects. We want to do that, but the idea is to develop is this clarity of mind by understanding how this thing works and what are the details that we need to know as the way we go into this journey. Now, so no matter how much time you spend with the language, you will always be fine, as I mentioned. Yeah. So don't look at this book as something to rush through for a quick achievement. Instead, patience and persistence are best as you take this first few step. Following this background chapter, the rest of the book lays out a high level. Okay, following this background chapter, the rest of the book layouts of the high level map of what you will find as you dig into the study of JavaScript with this series of book. In particular, chapter 4 identifies the three main pillars which around which the JavaScript language is organized: scope and closures, which is one of the things that we're going to see that but later on, prototypes and objects, and types and coercion. And I am quite familiar with the type and the coercion, okay, because I not only spend time to learn more about that, to understand is the primitive, all right, as well as the primitive and its behaviors, all right, and also to understand now the corner cases and these abstract operations that you are talking about, which is now type and coercion, as well as equality, which is entering into that realm, these abstract operations, which is something that I know what's going on behind the scenes. And because I come from this section, scope and closure, and say me, hey, you should really take a look at this book, all right? At least the first chapter, the series of Get Started, as a way to develop that knowledge needed of how these things work, all right? Project prototype and type coercion. JavaScript is a broad and sophisticated language with many features and capabilities. But all of the JavaScript is founded on these three foundational pillars. Keep in mind that even though this book is titled Get Started, is not an intent as a beginner intro book. This book's main job is to get ready for studying JavaScript deeply throughout the rest of the series, which is what I'm signed for. Yeah. It is reading assuming you already have familiarity with JavaScript over at least several months experience before moving on into the you don't know JavaScript yet. So to get the most out of the get starter, make sure you spend plenty of time writing JavaScript code to build up your experience. I do, bro. Even if you're already familiar, if you're already reading a lot of JavaScript before, this book should not be skimmed over or skipped. Take your time to fully process the material here. A good start always depends on a solid first step. That's right. So, what would that name? So this is actually telling you what is this book about this book, right? What is this book here? It's pretty much telling you what is this book for. What is the audience of this book? It's for it's not an intent as a beginner intro book. All right. It's not an intent as a beginner intro book. So you need to have some experience before getting to this. So what's with that name? The name JavaScript is probably the most mistaken and misunderstood programming language name. In this language related to Java, or it is only the script form for Java. And it is only for writing script and not real programs. The truth is, the new JavaScript is an artifact of marketing shenanigans. Shenanigans. What is a shenanigan? Secret or dishonest activity, usually of a complicated type. But again, that's what it permeates. Silly behavior that is usually not very serious or harmful. Shenanigans. Humorous or dishonest tricks. Marketing. 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 Oh my god, marketing. You describe entirely marketing. The truth is that the name of JavaScript is an artifact of a marketing shenanigan. Is an artifact. Is an artifact. That word, bro. So JavaScript is an artifact of marketing shenanigans. Is shenanigans. Interesting. Shenanigans. That's a very interesting word.
Shenanigans.
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 Shenanigans. Like many local government in the state, the county has a long history of political shenanigans. Politicians, man. Politicians. More business shenanigans were exposed in the newspaper today. Oh, things. Oh, okay, secrets or dishonest activity, shenanigans. But I think this is what it's a noun. Okay. More business shenanigans. Marketing shenanigans. Interesting. So JavaScript is an artifact of marketing shenanigans. How do you translate that into Spanish? Shenanigans. Spanish. Spanish here. Travesuras. Engaños. Miriñakis. Ok, shenanigans. Miriñakis. Bien. Como trampa. Sí. Ok. Como travesuras, trampas, miriñakis. Ok, perfecto. Good, good, good. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. When Brendan H. first conceived of the language, he code named it Mocha. Internally at Netscape, the brand LiveScript was used. hmm So Brendan H. Okay. So Brendan H. first conceived the language. He codenamed it Mocha. The Brendan H. Um, con, con, conceive the conceive 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 con conceive the language as Mocha. At Netscape, okay, so at Netscape, the brand LiveScript was used. The brand, the brand LiveScape was used. But when it came, time to publicly name the language, JavaScript won the vote. But when it came to public, but when it came time to publicly name the language, but when it came, but when it came to but when it came time to publicly name the name, okay, when it came interesting, but when it came time to publicly the name, JavaScript won. Again, for marketing purposes. Why? Because this language was originally designed to appeal to an audience of mostly Java programmers, and because the word script was popular at the time to refers to lightweight program, but this lightweight programs has scaled in a fucked up way, bro. Okay, this lightweight script will be this lightweight script will be the first one to embed it inside on page on this new thing called the web. In other words, JavaScript was a marketing ploy to try to position this language as a palatable alternative for writing the heavier and more well-known Java of the day. It could just as easily have been called Web Java for the matter. But again, why? Because the language was designed to appeal to Java an Java audience. All right, and using the script a popular term to use to refer a lightweight a lightweight This motherfucker has lightweight language, huh? Lightweight programs to refer used to refer lightweight weight lightweight programs, okay, to a Java audience, and uh, using the script was a popular term to refer lightweight lightweight programs. It was a popular term to refer to lightweight programs. Lightweight. Yeah, okay. 30 years later, lightweight. But when it came times to exactly. So all right, good. So in other words, JavaScript was a marketing ploy to try to position this language as a palatable alternative to writing the heavier and more well-known Java of the day. It could just as easily have been called Web Java, for that matter. Okay. So it was a marketing. Okay. It was a marketing ploy to position the language as to position the language as a palatable that word as a palatable alternative, as a palatable alternative, okay, to writing the heavier. Exactly, as a palatable alternative to writing the heavier, to writing the heavier and more well-known Java. Okay. It's okay. So there's some superficial resemblance between JavaScript code and Java code, and those similarities don't particularly come from shared development, but from both language targeting developers with assumed syntax expectations from C. Okay. So the language resembles some Java part, not in its syntax. Okay. Some Java part, not in its syntax. Okay. So the language resemble some Java parts, not in its syntax, but but assume syntax expectation from C. Exactly, but from syntax. Exactly, but from syntax expectations from C, and to an extent C++, and to an extent C++, right? Okay. In some ways, legal restrictions run even deeper than the syntax. A legal relationship run even deeper than the syntax. Oracle via Sun, the company that still owns and runs Java, also owns the official trademark for the name JavaScript via Netscape. Okay. So Oracle via Sun Microsystem, the company that still owns and runs Java, also owns a trademark named JavaScript. So Sun Microsystem, right? Sun Micro Sun Microsystem. It was acquired by that. Mm-hmm. Sun Microsystem was acquired for logo used from the 1990s until acquisition by Oracle. Mm-hmm. Some microsystem and then they renamed that into Java. Okay, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Dot-com bubble and aftermath. During the dot-com bubble, some began making more money via its stock rising at a high as 250 per share. It also began spending much more. Okay, here we go. It also began spending much more, hiring workers and building itself out. Some of this was because of genuine demand, but much was from web startup companies anticipating business that will never happen. In 2008, the bubble burst. Sales in some important hardware division went into free fall, and customer closed shops and auctioned high-end servers. Several quarters of steep losses lead to executive departures, rounds of layouts, and other cost cutting. In December 2001, the stock fell to the 1998 holy fuck pre-bubble level of about 100. It continued to fall faster than many other technology companies. A year later, it has reached below $10. God damn it, bitch. So if you invest $100, you're gonna get $10. Oh my god! But it eventually bounced back to 20. In mid 2004, Sun closed their Newark, California factory and consolidated all manufacturing to Hillsboro, Oregon, and let go Scotland. What the fuck? So they moved on to Scotland. In 2006, the rest of the Newark campus was put on the market. But crash focus, man. Holy shit. Okay, during the dot-com bubble, which is 2001, which is in the late, exactly. And the peak is on that, resulting in a dispensation of available venture capital and the rapid growth of valuation in new dot-com startups. Between 1995 and its peak in March 2000, investment in the Nasdaq Composite Stocks Market Index rose by 80%, only to fall 78 from its peak by October 2002, giving up all its gain during the bubble. During the dot-com crash, many online shop companies, notably Pets.com, is that still exists? Webvan and Boo.com was a short-lived British e-commerce business, as well as several communication companies such as WorkCom, Northpoint Communications, and Global Crossing failed and shut down. Others like LastMinute.com, MP3.com, and PeopleSound were bought out. Large companies like Amazon and Cisco lost large portions of their market cap, with Cisco losing 80% of its stock value. Holy fuck. But for how long? Historically, the dot-com boom can be seen as similar to a number of other technology-inspired boom of the past, including railroads in 1840, automobiles in the 900, radio in 1920, television in 1940, transistor electronic in the 1950, and computer time sharing in the 1960. Oh, computer time sharing is big deal. And home computers and biotechnology in the 1980s. Low interest rates in the 1998 and 1999 facilitate an increase in startup companies. Oh my God. People borrowing money. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Stop borrowing money, bro. Stop borrowing money, bro. Stop. Anyway. The dot-com bubble burst in 2000, causing numerous startups to fail after depleting their venture capital without becoming profitable. However, some notable online retailers like eBay and Amazon survive and let it become highly profitable. Of course, of course. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the history is not the same, but it rhymes. Okay, with what happened here with the AI and all the kind of company, yada yada yada, until the bubble bursts, bro. Until the bubble bursts. Interesting. Layoff of programmers result in a general glut. A general glut is an excess of supply in relation to demand, specifically when there is more production in all fields of production in comparison with what resources are available to consume. In the job market, university enrollment for computer-related degree dropped noticeable. Aeros chairs, Aeron chair, which retailed from 1,000 each, were liquidated in mass. Okay. Legacy. As growth with the technology sector stabilized, company consolidate, some such as Amazon.com, eBay, Nvidia, and Google gain market share and came to dominate the respective field. The most valuable public companies are now generally in the technology sectors. In 2015 book, venture capitalist Fred Wilson, an American businessman, venture capitalist, and blogger, interested, who founded many dot-com companies and lost 90% of his net worth when the bubble burst, say about the dot-com bubble. A friend of mine has a great line. He said, nothing important has ever been built without irrational exuberance. Meaning that you need some of this mania to cause investors to open up their pocketbooks and finance the building of the railroad, of the automobile, outer space industry, or whatever. In this case, much of the capital invested was lost, but also much of it was invested in a very high throughput backbone for the internet. And a lot of the software that works, that's one of the reasons why, that's one of the, oof, oh my God. That's one of the, oof, Jesus. That's one of the reasons why it is important to do things with intention, man. More than ever, judgment is crucial. We can see that through our history, bro. We can see that through our history. In every tech bubble that has happened since the railroad, the car, the radio, and then the television, the microprocessors, and the timeshare computing, okay? Timeshare computing, and then the internet and the biotechnology, all of this, each one of them has the intention is what really matters, bro. And I think this is something that is reserved for people who are at the top, or people who have access to those capital. The decision matters, and what really matters here is the protocols. Is the protocols, man. Holy moly, okay. Here in Argentina, we haven't lived that because, well, this capture market art to me was like, anyway. Yeah, this is a capture market, man. This is a capture market. And here we're living is a different realities here. A different reality we're living here. So bursting the bubble. Mm-hmm. The September 11 attacks accelerate the stock market drop, of course, bro. Investor confidence was further eroded by several accounting scandals. And the resulting bankruptcy, including the Enron scandal, bro, in October 2001, and WorldCon scandal in June 2002, and the Adelphia Communications Corporation. This, based on this, is that we now have these things called the SOX. Is the SOX, all right? I don't mean is that kind of sucks. I mean is the act sucks, all right? The Sarbanes-Oxley acts, but this SOX act, which is a federal law in response to corporate accounting scandals, bro. But it's an attempt, or it outlined is the how now public companies should follow good show how public companies should follow how public companies must follow is how public company must follow is accountability and accountability. Yeah, how this company must follow is the accountability. So they must so this law put in place requirements for public companies, to all American public company board of directors and management and public accounting firms. A number of provisions of the Act also apply to privately held companies, such as willful destruction of evidence or impede a federal investigation. This was due the several accounting scandals like the Enron and WorldCom. All right. So once you get in there, once you started to borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow, then you suddenly lose all of your money. So
this first entry out of the system, hey, can you go back and see, is there
all right. Okay. Look at that. Sí, voy bajando. Okay, so all of this starting to connect the dots here. So it all started with knowing about the history of JavaScript, especially with Oracle and so on, microsystem. Okay, I'll be right back. Give me a second. And we are back. Now, if we continue to dive deep into what is Sun, uh, which was all right with the dot-com bubble, and how now that actually is not only pop-ups, is also some accountable scandals, right? Counting scandals, right? So, for example, exact accounting scandals like this. For example, in the case of Aaron and WorkCom, and how that now lead to the creation of the SOX Act, which is an act to say, hey, now public and some private companies, this is the set of requirements that you must follow in order to guarantee is accountability, transparent accountability, reliability, and trustworthy for investors. All right, to guarantee now investors accessibility of that information. So, holy moly, under the Bush era, under the Bush era. All right, okay. So this is also interesting because all of these companies that they were founded in 1988, 82, and just with a blow of wind, okay, they fell off out of grace. Some products include computer servers and workstations built on RISC-based Spark processor architecture, as well as x86 based on MDN, Opteron, and Intel Xeon. Later Solaris, developer tools, web infrastructure, software, and identity management. Technology that some created include the Java programming language, the Java platform, and technologies that they create. So some products include computer servers. Okay, some products include computer servers. So they are the one who create now what we are, the very nation where we breathe, and workstations, okay, built on its own RISC-based Spark processor architecture, as well as on x86 based MDN, Opteron, and Intel Xeon processors. Sun also developed its own storage system and a suite of software products, including the Unix-based Sun OS and a later Solaris operating systems, developer tool, okay, holy moly. So Sun also developed its own storage system and a suite of software products, including the Unix-based Sun OS and the later Solaris. Interesting. Including the Unix-based. Okay, let me. In the meantime, I was gonna charge ourselves. You got it. All right. So some products include computer servers, workstations, building its own RISC Spark processor, as well as 86 base AMD, Opteron, and Intel Xeon processors. So they create, not only is the architecture where we breathe, which is the web, the computer server and workstation, and also the microprocessors. Holy moly. Sun also developed its own storage system and a suite of software products, including the Unix-based Sun OS, and later Solaris, operating system, developer tools, web infrastructure software, and identity management applications. Technology that some create include the Java programming language, is interesting, the Java platform, all right, a set of computer software and specification that provides software platform that provide a software platform for developing application software and deploying it across platform computing environment, and network file system. Mhm. Network file system. As General Sun was a proponent of open system, particularly Unix. Interesting. It was also a major contributor to open source software, as evident by its 1 billion purchase in 2008 of MySQL and open source. What the fuck? In 2008? In 2008, he purchased. It was also a major contributor to open source software, as evidenced by its 1 billion purchase in 2008 of MySQL, an open source relational database management system. Holy moly! Other notable some acquisitions include Cry Business System Division and the storage tech and Innotech GmbH, creator of VirtualBox. Holy moly. On April 20, 2009, it was announced that Oracle will acquire Sun for 7.4 billion. The deal was completed on January 26, 2010. That's interesting. How is that Oracle? How is that Oracle is still alive despite all of this? You know, that's to me quite interesting. And even that Sun Microsystem was founded later on in 1982. It was mind blowing of all of this. Holy moly. Oracle Corporation is an American multinational computer technology company headquartered in Austin, Texas. Co-founded in 1977 in Santa Clara, California by Larry Ellison, who remains executive chairman. Oracle Corporation is the fourth largest software company in the world by market capitalization as of 2025, following Microsoft, Apple, and Alphabet. Its market value was approximately 14 billion in June 2025. The company 2023 ranking the Forbes Global 2000 was 80. The company sells database software, particularly Oracle databases and cloud computing. Oracle's core application software is a suite of enterprise software products. Exactly. The company sells database software, particularly Oracle databases, and a cloud computing. Oracle's core application software is a suite of enterprise software products such as enterprise resource planning, the famous ERP, software, human capital management, custom relationship management, and enterprise performance management. Enterprise performance management, custom experience commerce, and supply chain management software. But all of these are specific software and also database for that. That's interesting. That's very, very, very interesting. And we barely hear news about this. And they are now running the entire world. Holy fuck. Larry Ellison, Bob Miner, Was what? He died? No, he died in 1994. All right. Okay. Okay. Well. Okay. And Ed Oates. Yeah, still alive. Okay. Oates' client, including his ex-partner Larry Ellison and Steve Jobs, he sold Audible Difference. Oates voluntary times on the board of directors of the San Francisco Zoological Society and the Tower Foundation board of San Jose State University. H.O. Scale Model Railroads. What the fuck? And those video work for Woodside Priority School Teacher Theater and also plays guitar in the band Coco. What the fuck? Participate at rock and roll fantasy camp. What? Nigga, what? Okay. Good. Good. Oh my god. It's interesting because this industry breeds a lot of weird people, bro. I mean, a lot of. So it breed is the full range of the human race, of the psychology, especially that of the psychology. What about in? There is no appearance in right now? Oh, he holds his own blog. All right. Okay. Exactly. Like okay, but what is this? Why there is no new about him? It's like, wow. So it's like he's living in the shadow. What the French those? Oh no. Well, okay, 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 yeah, okay. It's like okay, okay, yeah, man. Yeah. But it's interesting because there's few videos or image of that. Oh, okay.
So they were both passions.
What? It's like what? All right. Okay. It's like what? Well, of course, this is. That's right. That's right. So it's him. exactly. What happened to Oracle's founders? Exactly. It's like, I mean, I mean, good. You know, I mean, good. In 1996, I had told Larry when the company gets to 10,000 people, I'm out of here. I couldn't quit fast enough. I quit when the company had 20,000 people. He told attendance of San Joe's University lecture in 2011. He then bought a high-end home theater store called the Audible Difference, which had clients like Steve Jobs and Larry Ellison. He sold it in 1991. In 1999. He's currently a member of the board of advisor of big data analytics company Auguri Corp, and is on the board director in the San Francisco. What the French toast? Exactly, man. You have to do something with your life. Here's how he described the co-founders. What we brought to the table, Larry brought chutzpah. Chutzpah. What the fuck is chutzpah? What the fuck is what? It's a Judas word. What the? It's the quality of audacity. Okay, for good or bad, a close English equivalent is sometimes hubris. The word derived from Hebrew, meaning insolent, cheek, audacity. The original Yiddish word has a strong negative connotation, but the form which entered English as Yiddish is hubris. Okay, technical wizardry. Larry bought Chuple. Technical wizardry. Larry brought chutzpah. Technical wizardry. Bob Miner and project management and knowledge of how computers work at the core level. That was me. Notice that we didn't have any business acumen. We weren't marketers. We weren't sales guys, other than a little bit of project management. Okay. Bob Miner, the technical genius. Product design and development. On advanced technology. If Ellison was considered the hard-driving brain of the company, Miner was considered it is hard. Okay, if Ellison was considered the hard-driving brains of the company, Miner was considered it is hard. It is hard. A well-linked manager that counterbalanced Ellison. He wanted his employee to see their family, not work through the night. He died in 1993 at age 52 from a rare lung cancer caused by exposure to asbestos. The hard-driving businessman. Until Thursday, the 70-year-old Larry Ellison was still going strong as the CEO of Oracle, the longest-running CEO in the history of tech company. He has announced he was stepping down as a CEO after 30 years. He is one of the world's richest men with a net worth of 51 billions. And there you go. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Chuspa. Okay, it's like hubris. Gale, bracing nerve, effrontery, incredible guts, presumption plus arrogance, such as no other words and no other language can do justice to it. In the same Chuspa expressed both strong disapproval and condemnation. In the same work, Rustin also defines the term as That quality enshrined in a man who's having killed that quality enshrined in a man who, having killed his mother and a father, throw himself on the no mercy of the court because he's an orphan. Chuspa amount to a total denial of personal responsibility, which render oft others speechless and incredulous. The cognate, the cognate, the cognate of husband is classical Arabic, does not mean imprudence or chickenness, anything similar, but rather sound judgment. Husband. Mm. Trigger through. Anyway, we got deep too much into this, and I just want to, man, understand this. So that was interesting. That was interesting. A little bit of history here from that. So because Java, okay, Oracle via Sun. Okay, since Java was this developed or was created by Sun, okay, a company acquired exactly a company acquired in 2008 2009 by Oracle. 2009 by Oracle. That's what happened. By Oracle, man. All right. So Oracle. All right. What's that with the name? Here. So Oracle, in some way, legal relationship run even deeper than the syntax. Oracle via Sum, the company that still owns and runs Java, also owns the official trademark for the name JavaScript via Netscape. So Netscape was acquired by that. So Netscape, Netscape. Okay. So Netscape Navigator were a series of non-discontinued proprietary web browsers. Okay, they were proprietary web browsers. Interesting. It was the flagship product of the Netscape Communication Corporation and was a dominant web browser in terms of usage share in the 1990s. But by around 2003, its user base had all but disappeared. Exactly, remember this. It was particularly because of Microsoft bundling of Internet Explorer with the Windows operating system. The business diminish of Netscape was central premise of Microsoft antitrust trial, wherein court ruled that Microsoft bundling of Internet Explorer with Windows operating system was a monopolistic and illegal business practice. So here we go. The decision came too late for Netscape. However, as Internet Explorer had by then become the dominant web browser in Windows. The Netscape Navigator web browser was succeeded by Netscape Communicator suit in 1997. Netscape Communicator's for source code was the base for the Netscape developed Mozilla application suite. which was later renamed SeaMonkey. The Netscape Navigator name returned in 2007 when AOL announced version 9 of the Netscape series of browsers. Netscape Navigator was inspired by the success of Mosaic web browser, which was co-written by Mark Anderson. Holy fuck. Oh my god. A part-time employee at the National Center of Supercomputer Applications, man, at the University of Illinois. After Andre C. graduated in 1993, he moved to California and there met Jim Clark. They recently departed founded a Silicon Graphic. Clark believed that Mosaic browser had great commercial possibility and provided seed money. Soon Mosaic Communication Corporation was in business in Mountain View, California, with Andrew Singh as vice president. Since the University of Illinois was unhappy with the company's use of Mosaic name, the company changed its name to Netscape Communication, suggested by product manager Greg Sand. And the name it is flagship web browser Netscape Navigator, so it was developed by him. Holy French toast. Netscape announced its first press release October 13, 1994, and it will make Navigator available without charge to all non-commercial. But in any case, okay, a little bit of history here. That's good. The TLDR of this is that Oracle. Okay. So I just want to know when this was acquired. It became the dominant, and then yeah. The aging escape was lower than Internet Explorer. Typical web page has become heavily illustrated, often JavaScript text and encoded with HTML features designed for a specific purpose, but now employed as global layout tools. HTML tables, the most obvious example of this, were especially difficult to communicators to render. For communicators to render. Read and load an entire web page to re-render it when the browser window was resized and all that kind of stuff. But again, when was this, or who acquired this? Oh, it's because the company here is because the company here like this, soon Mosaic Communication Corporation. Is this one, Netscape Corporation. It was acquired, or it was defunct in 2008. In the first browser war. So in any case, okay, but but when this was acquired, acquisition by American, but by AOL, it will acquire Netscape Communication in a tax-free stock swap value as 4.2 billion. By the time the deal closed on March 17, 1999, it was valued at 10 billion. This merger was ridiculed by many who believed that the two corporate cultures could not possibly mesh. One of its most prominent critics was longtime Netscape developers Jamie Sawinski. All right, in Pennsylvania. Okay. In Pennsylvania. Okay. In Pennsylvania. I get. Okay, right. Mm-hmm. Is he still on the fly or developing that kind of stuff? Okay. But I don't think he's still. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 Trippy. Disbanding. During Netscape acquisition by IOL, joint developing and marketing of the Netscape software products will occur through the Sun Netscape Alliance. In the newly Brad iPlanet, the software includes messaging and calendar collaboration with web applications. Da, 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 da. On July 23, Time Warner, formerly AOL Time Warner, disbanded Netscape. Most of the programmers were laid off and the Netscape logo was removed from the building. However, the Netscape 7.2 web browser developed in-house rather than with Netscape staff, with some work outsourced to some Beijing development center, was released by AOL on August 18, 2004. After the Sun acquisition by Oracle in January 2010, Oracle continued to sell iPlanet branded application, which originated from Netscape, final release of browsers. But again, okay, because it passed through several. It because it passed through several. It because it passed through several. Mm-hmm. It passed through several acquisition, man. It passed through several acquisition, man. Interesting. It passed through several acquisition, man. Mm-hmm. Internet Age and Time Warner's merge. Mm-hmm. So AOL bought that. Exactly. After the sum acquisition by Oracle, Oracle continued to sell that. Okay, but it passed through several merge. The point of this is that it passed through several merge. Okay, so that language in the browser was passed by several acquisition until it reached to the point where it is. Okay. So in some ways, legal relationship run even deeper than the syntax. So Oracle via Sum, the company that still owns and runs Java via Sum, also owns the official trademark for the name JavaScript via Netscape. This trademark is almost never enforced and likely couldn't be at this point. For this reason, some have suggested we use JavaScript instead. Okay, we use GS instead of JavaScript. That is a very common shorthand. If it's not a good candidate for an official language branding itself, indeed. This book used JavaScript almost exclusively to refer to the language. Further distant the language from the Oracle owned trademark, the official name of the language described by the TC39 and formally by the ECMAScript body is ECMAScript. And indeed, since 2016, the official language has name also language name has also been suffixed by the revision year at this writing, that ECMAScript 2019 or otherwise abbreviation ES 2019. In other words, the JavaScript GS that run in your browser or in your Node.js is an implementation of the ES 2019 standard. Don't use terms like ES6 or ES8 to refer to the language. Some do, but those terms only serve to perpetuate confusion. EX20, whatever name it is, or just JavaScript are what you should stick to. Whatever you call it, JavaScript, GS, ECMAScript, or ES 2019 is most definitely not a variant of the Java language. So the TLDR is that Oracle bought that via Netscape. Oracle bought that via Netscape. Alright? So far so good. And the name that is preferred to use is now ECMAScript. Okay? So ECMAScript is the formalized name. Further distant the language from Oracle owned trademark. Alright? The official name of the language specified by the 39 formalized by the ECMAScript standards body is ECMAScript. So the ECMAScript is the standard in which now JavaScript is upon. Okay. So. Language specification. I mentioned TC39, the technical steering committee that managed GS. The primary task is to manage the official specification for the language. They meet regularly, vote, and agree change, which they then submit to ECMA, the standard organization. JavaScript syntax and behaviors are defined in the ESX specification. ES 2019 happens to be the 10 major number specification revision since GS inception in 1995. So it's an special. Oh, it's a 10 revision, man. Holy moly! All right. The TC39 commit is comprised of between 50 and about 100 different people from a broad section of web-invested company, such as browser makers, Mozilla, Google, and Apple, and device makers, Samsung, etc. All members of the commit are volunteers through many of these employees of this company, and so many receive compensation in part of their duty of the commit. So in other words, the TC39 commit is made of between 50 and 100 different people, 100 different people from broad section of web invested companies, whether it's from browser makers, device makers, whether it's from browser makers or device makers. And some of them receive is a compensation in part for their duty on the commit. TC39 meets generally about every other month. Okay, TC39 meets generally about every other month, usually for about 3 days, to review work done by members since the last meeting discussed issue, and votes on proposal. Meeting locations rotates among member company willing to host. Interesting. So they gather is every month, generally about every other month. Every other month, bro. So every other month or every month. What does it mean every other month, bro? It's like what is it's like those buys monthly mean twice a month or even 2 months? Every other month occurs once every 2 months, exactly. Every other month. Alright, by monthly. Why so hard for you to say that? Every other month. Why for you so hard to say that? Every other month. So bi-monthly. Bi-monthly. Interesting. And it's usually 3 days. Usually for about 3 days to review work done by members since the last meeting, discuss issue, and votes on proposals. Meeting locations rotate among members company willing to host. All TC proposals progress through a 5-stage process. Of course, since we're programmer, it is 0 base. Stage 0 through stage 4. You can read more about the stage process in here. This is new proposal is not currently being considered by the committee. This proposal is under consideration. The committee expects to devote time to examine the identified problem space, the full breadth of possible solution and cross-cutting concerns. Okay, status. And interest criteria. Identify champion of champion groups will advance the audition. Okay, design a solution. Make the case for a particular solution or solution space. Okay. The committee has chosen a preferred solution or solution space, but the design is a draft and may still change significantly. The committee expects the features to be developed and eventually included in the standard, but due to reasons that may not be apparently at this stage, the feature may never be included in the standard. Okay, proposal document describe all high-level API and syntax. Illustrate example of usage. Initial specs text including all major okay, but this is the kind of serious step that's going on here. Alright, and the proposal will be recommended for implementation. No change to the proposal are expected here. So gaining implementation experience and discovering any web compatibility or integration issue. So they have now that particularly step to go with. Status in process addition. Okay, and here we can look at this. So during the stage 3, the proposal has been recommended for implementation. No change to the proposal are expected, but some necessary changes may still occur due to web incompatibility or feedback from production grade implementation. The feature has sufficient testing and appropriate pre-implementation experience. Gaining implementation experience and discover any web compatibility or integrating issue. The proposal has been recommended for implementation, and the proposed feature is complete and ready to be included in the standard. No further change will be made to the proposal. Interesting. To compatible implementation which passed the test 262 as a section of acceptance tests. Significant in the field experience with shipping implementations such as the provided by 2 independent VMs. A pull request has been sent to this as appropriate with the integrated spec text. The relevant editor group has signed. Okay, so if they are in the stage 3, they are now in the process of getting close to that. Legacy regular expression features in JavaScript. Temporal. Decorators. Provide standard object and functions for working with dates and time. Okay. The other is decorators. Interesting. Proposal decorators. Decorators. Decorators are a proposal for extending JavaScript classes which are widely adopted among developers in transpiler environments. Exactly, decorators. Define an element my class and you can now provide this. JSON parse source text access arrive from async. Explicit resource management. Decorator metadata source face on-site 8 array 2 from 64. Dynamic code brand checks. Redeclare global eval introduce var s. Atomic.pos and mat.sum precise. Okay, all of these things that are still in here. Shadow realm, join iteration sequencing, ESM facing port, immutable array buffers, and all of that kind of thing. Okay. Function.send meta property, throw expression, function implementation hiding, assembly object, model expression, pipeline, the structured private fields, string.dedend, which is a champion. We're trying to embed and format text, for instance, markdown content. Okay, to embed in now markdown content. Jesus. Symbol predicate, async iterator helpers, iterator range, async context, discard, extractor, iterator chunking, error stack, and all of this. And async context. Alright. So you got all of these proposals, right? From the ECMA script. Holy moly. That's mind blowing, bro. That is a mind blowing stuff, bro. 3 weeks ago was updated. Oh, holy French toast. They made and view all branches. And they only have one. Oh, okay, so we are now getting into the weeds. Getting into the weed completely, bro. Okay. Okay, so you have now TC39. For EGMA 262, status process and documentation. Active proposals. And this is the active proposals. And then you have now the finished proposals. Like this. Okay, regular express promise that tried JSON models. Import regular express. Okay, so here we can now get into a sense of what is this. Okay, array find from last. Error clause top level await. Dot add. Was achieved. Proposal for an add dot method and all built-in indexable. For many years, programmer has asked for the ability to do negative indexing of GS array like you can do with Python. Okay, but all of this now are done. Exactly, all of this has been approved, bro. Promise try. Sync iterator, JSON models, import attribute regular. Okay, this is actually getting into the weeds, into the deeps stuff here. New set methods, duplicate name capture groups, array buffer transfer, promise with resolvers, array grouping, resizable and growable arrays. Oh, array buffers, regular expression, atomic, the weight async, well-formed Unicode stream, well-code Unicode stream, bro. Holy moly, bro. The proposal. Okay, to check if this is a well-formed Unicode stream. Well-formed Unicode stream. Okay. Okay. Chain array by copy. Copy and wix. And this is now from previous work. In 2013 and error clause and all that kind of stuff. At which is at 2002. Alright. Top level await. Numerical separation, logical assignment operator, weak ref, property.any, nullish collision operator, optional chaining, for in mechanics. Okay, to specify now the iteration for this. For in enumeration order. Global this, promise all settled, big int, which was introduced by the language. Import stream.match all. Okay, holy moly, bro. Stream padding and all that kind of stuff. Okay, this is the vanguard. This, my friend, is the vanguard. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, bro. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially the observables, secure eggman script, error stack, binary AST, cancellation API. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then signals. But again, this is on the stage one. This is on this. Okay. Holy moly. Mm. Exactly. It's a way to say now an state management, bro. A declarative programming model for updating based on change to state. Okay. Okay. Motivation for standardized. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting stuff. Okay. 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 So, holy moly. So, okay. Alright. So, this is actually the source of truth. Alright? This is actually the source of truth. It's not beautiful. It's not something that somebody was gonna tell you and make you accessible or teach you. No, 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 no. None of that. It is the real stuff. It is the real deal, fellas. The real deal. The real deal. Holy French toast, bro. Okay. Okay. So, this is exploring at the language specification. Okay. This is exploring now at the language specification. Alright? And that is this, bro. Okay. Okay. It's now opening. It's complete. My eyes are wide opening. That's what happened here. Oh my god. Alright, so language specification. So this is the 30 TC39 commit is uh, is made of 50 and 100 different people from a broad section of web invested companies, whether it is browser makers or device makers like Samsung, etc. Right? Interesting. Holy moly. So the TC39 meets generally about every other month, which is bi-monthly, usually about 3 days, and to review work done by members since the last meeting and discuss topics about that. Submitted location rotates among members company willing to host. Okay? Willing to host. Now, all TC39 proposal progress through a 5-stage process. Okay? So all TC39 proposals, all TC39 proposals progress without I'm gonna sleep. All TC39 proposal progress. What? Okay, all TC39 proposal progress through a 5-stage process. Progress through a 5-stage process. since we are programmers, this start at 0. Okay? And it go from stage 0 through stage 4. And it goes from stage 0 to 4. Alright? You can read more about the stage process here. So that's what it is. You can read more about this process here. All right. The process. Stage 0 means roughly someone on TC39, and I love that it actually described that. Think it is a worthy idea and plans to champion or work on it. That means a lot of ideas that non-TC39 members propose through informal means such as social media or blog posts are really pre-stage 0. You have to get at TC39 member to champion a proposal for it to be considered stage 0 officially. Once the proposal reaches stage 4 status, it is eligible to be included in the next yearly revision of the language. It can take anywhere from several months to a few years for a proposal to work its way through this stage. Okay, all proposals are managed in the open TC39 GitHub repo here. Anyone, whether on TC39 or not, is welcome to participate in this public discussion. And the process for working on the proposals, however, only TC39 members can attend meeting and vote on the proposals and change. So in effect, the voice of a TC39 member carries a lot of weight in where JavaScript goes. Contrary to some established and frustratingly perpetuating myth, there are not a multi-version of JavaScript in the wild. There are not multiple versions of JavaScript in the wild. There's just one JavaScript, the official standards as maintained by TC39 and Eggman. Back in the early 2000s, when Microsoft maintained a fork and reverse engineers a not entirely compatible version of JavaScript called GScript, there were legitimately multiple versions of JavaScript. But those days are long gone. It is outdated and inaccurate to make such claims about GS today. All major browsers, and this is something that I ignore. Okay, I ignore. All major browsers and device makers have committed to keep their JavaScript implementations compliant with this one central specification. Of course, engines implement features at different time, but it should never be the case that V8 engine, Chrome JS engine implements a specified feature differently or incompatibly as compared to the SpiderMonkey engine Mozilla exactly. It doesn't, so you can implement that later, but that doesn't mean that they are not incompatible among engines. That means you can learn one JavaScript and rely on the same JavaScript everywhere. Okay? Allegedly. Allegedly. So that's mind blowing, bro. This is mind blowing. So the stage means roughly goes through 30 TC this one. So stage 0 means someone on TC39 think it is a worthy idea and plans to champion that. Alright? And plans to champion that. And plan to champion that. So what does it mean is that the stage 1 here, all right, what does it mean is that stage 1 here, this proposal, okay, okay. So this proposal is under consideration, and the committee expect to devote time to examining the identified problem space and the full space. They are designing a solution. Okay, it means that March TC39 meeting, stage 4 are incorporated. Okay, and spec revision and scheduling. Stage 4 proposals are incorporated. Final semantics are approved, and the new spec version is branched from main. Only editorial changes are accepted from this point forward. April-June ECMA Executive Committee EXECOM and ECMA General Assembly GA review period. In July, approval on new standard by the ECMA General Assembly. Status of in-process addition. TC39 will maintain a list of in-process addition along with the current maturity stage of each. Spec text at stage 2 and later, the semantics, API, and syntax of an addition must be described and edited using the same language for the quality of the spec text. Reviewers. Anyone can be reviewed and submit feedback on in-process addition. This committee should identify the designated for acceptance during stage 2. This review must give their sign-off before a proposal enters the stage 2.7. Designated reviewer should not be author of the spec tech for the addition. The standard review must be chosen by committee, not by the proposal champion. When reviewers are designated, a target meeting for the stage 2.0 should be identified. Initial review feedback should be given to the champions at least 2 weeks before the meeting, allow time to discuss and revision. The target stage 2.7 meeting may be postponed by a champion if further refinement is necessary. The target 2.7 meeting may be postponed by a champion if further refinement is necessary. Call for an implementation. When an addition is accepted at stage 3, the commit is signifying the design work is complete and further refinement will require implementation experience, significant usage, and external feedback. Okay. Given the consensus of stage 3 means the solution is complete. All open design issue has been resolved, including anticipated implementation and ecosystem compatibility issue. All TC39 participants should validate the design of proposal they care before granting a stage 3 consensus. Stage 3 proposals which have fully the acceptance criteria for stage 4 may not withheld for an advantage in case where the committee does not come to consensus. Okay, so if you see this, when is now at the stage 3, we can consider that as a solution that is complete, that is partially close to what we're going to expect. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Mm-hmm. Holy moly. Test the 2. Ah, this is the official ECMAScript conformant test suite. God damn. Harness, Node.js, Python, Web, C++, and .NET. That is mind-bending blowing stuff, bro. That is mind-bending blowing stuff, bro. Okay, I definitely ignore all of this. Okay, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Uh, and the web rules everything about GS. While the array of environments that run JavaScript is constantly expanding from browser to servers to robots to light bulbs to the one environment that rules JavaScript is the web. In other words, how GSS is implemented for web browser is in practically in all practicality the only reality that matters. For the most part, the JavaScript defined in the spec and the JavaScript that run in browsers based JavaScript engine is the same. But there are some different that must be considered. Sometimes the GS spec will dictate some new or refined behaviors, and yet that won't exactly match with how it works in browser-based JavaScript engine. Such a mismatch is historical. JavaScript engine have had 20 plus years of observable behavior around corner case and features that had come to be reliant on web content. As such, sometimes the JavaScript engine will refuse to conform to any specification dictate change because it will break that web content. In the case, often TC39 will draw back as simply choosing to conform the specification to the reality of the web. For example, TC39 planned to add contains method for arrays, but it was found that this name conflicted with all JavaScript framework still used on some sites. They have changed the name to a non-conflicted includes. Interesting. The same happened with a comedy tragic JavaScript community crisis dubbed Smoosh Gate, where the bland flatten method was eventually renamed flat. Okay. But occasionally Smoosh Gate. Smoosh Gate. Smoosh Gate. What the French toast is this? A proposal for JavaScript language called feature flatten turns out the web incompatible. Shipping the feature in Firefox nightly caused at least one popular website to break. Okay. Implementing a prototype of Flatten broke Mootool's version of it. Holy shit, bro. Mootools.net. Okay. Okay. Holy moly. Requesting tracking because this caused site bug state. Do know how many sites in the wild are affected, but given Mootools probably more than a single weather, site in Germany. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. What does Smoosh happen? Interesting. Given that the problematic code is part of the widespread MooTools library, it is likely that many more websites are affected. Although MooTools is not commonly used in new websites in 2018, it is used to be very popular and is still present in many production websites. The proposal author Jocklin suggests renaming Flatten to Smoosh to avoid the compatibility issues. The joke was not clear to everyone. Okay. Some people started to incorrectly believe that the new name has already been decided, and the things escalated quickly. What does array.prototype.flatten do? Array.prototype flat originally proposed that as array.prototype flattens array recursively up to the specific depth. Okay? Which defaults to 1. You say array flat, and you say flatten recursively until the array contains no more nested arrays. Alright, sounds good, right? Since the publication of this article, flatten has been renamed to flat to resolve Smoosh Gate. The above example has been updated accordingly, but keep in mind that the original name was flatten. Okay. The same proposal include flat map, which is like array.prototype map, except it flattened the result into a new array. What is MooTools doing that caused this problem? MooTools define their own non-standard version of array.prototype flattening. MooTools flattening implementations differs from the proposal standard. However, this is not the problem. When browsers ship array.prototype flatten natively, MooTools override the native implementation, and this ensures that code relying on MooTools behavior works as intended regardless of whether native flattening is available. So far, so good. Unfortunately, something else then happens. MooTools copy all of its custom array method to element of prototype, where element is a MooTools specific API. Holy moly. For it iterates over enumerables property, which doesn't include native methods like array.prototype sort, but it also includes regular assigned property like array property.foo. But, and here's the kicker, if you override a non-enumerable property, it remains non-enumerable. Currently, array.prototype flatten MooTools flatten implementation creates an enumerable flattening property, so it later copied it to element, but if browser ship native version of the flattening, it becomes non-enumerable and isn't copied to element. Any code relying on MooTools elements prototype flattening is now broken. Okay. Can be removed from the web. Why don't just fix MooTools? How does the TC39 process work? Smoosh Gate caused some to believe that TC39 wants to rename flatten into Smoosh. Oh my god. And they have to work their way out fast, bro. Okay, so flat. So flat. Alright, so flat, what it does is to say no matter how many elements or how deeply nested you have in that. All right. So no matter how deeply nested you have that, all right, I want to flat all of this, okay? And you can say, hey, give me is the depth of this. So I can say, I'm gonna pass you infinite, so you give me is you flat this into one single array. But again, it's going to modify is a current one. That's quite interesting. But if you do a flat map, what you do is to say, hey, well, create now a new collection of this flat map version. And then you say, let's say flatten it, or flat, right? And then now you hold this value. Number infinity is not a function, okay, of the flat map. Where the flat map, I don't know, what is the value you're gonna retrieve? You say value, all right. And for all of those values, I want to flat that into infinity, okay, and give me now is a new value of that. So you say flat, and well, I get now a new collections of this. Instead of modifying is the original, because if you say flat uh, flat mutable, all right, I mean it's flat, right, you just mutate that value, flat mutable. Okay, interesting. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, okay, okay. Okie dokie. Oh my God, this website is still alive? Space Jam characters name all related. Indica trademark Warner Bros. In 1990. Oh my God, this still alive? Holy fuck, this. Oh my God, 1996. In 1996, before CSX became widespread, and long before HTML5 became a thing, the Space Jam website went live. Today, the website still works the same way it did 22 years ago. Holy moly! And as it turns out, don't break the way is the number one of design principles. Support existing content. Why? Who is maintaining this website, bro? And accessibility. It's just, I think they just hold that because they don't wanna they don't wanna lose that. They don't wanna lose that domain. They don't wanna lose that domain. So SpaceJam.com doesn't exist? No, Space Jam doesn't exist. Oh my God. Uh, no, it's because there were a lot of back then. There was a lot of Jopiti Itka. So back then there was a lot. Uh, so it's like everything was possible back then, right? Everything was possible back then, right? Interesting. It's like everything was possible back then, bro. Interesting. It's like everything was possible back then. All right. So everything was possible back then. Everything was possible back then, bro. Yeah, oh my god, interesting. Anyway, we took a very interesting segue here, a very very interesting segue. Uh, so far, Smoosh Gate, frequent fact. Okay. Okay. But occasionally TC39 will decide a specification should stick firm on some point, and even though it is unlikely that browser based on JavaScript engine will ever confirm. The solution, Appendix B, is this. JavaScript specification includes this appendix to detail out any known mismatch between official JavaScript specification and the reality of the JavaScript web. In other words, there are exceptions that are allowed only for web JavaScript. Other JavaScript must stick to the letter of the law. Other JavaScript environment must stick to the letter to the law of the law. And B1 and B2 cover additional to GS syntax and API. The web JavaScript include gain for historical reasons. Again, for historical reasons, but which TC39 does not plan to formally specify in the code of JavaScript. Example includes zero prefix octal literal. Okay. The global escape and unescape utility string helpers like anchor and blink, and the regular expression like compile. Not all web JavaScript. In this code, is this code a JavaScript program? So no, because at the end of the day, it is based on the environment that is running. Backward and forward as it is. So I think that'll be all for this first part. Okay. How the web rule everything's about JavaScript. It came to be now this section. All right. And this is the TC39 spec. GitHub repo. Okay. That's interesting. And the web rule everything about the JavaScript. Interesting. And how we make is this. Okay, all of them must comply, bro. All of them must comply, especially with this Smoosh Gate. uh, so to avoid a future Smoosh Gate or any to avoid any future or something like that, all JavaScript spec are to serve backward compatibility, compatibility in exactly are serve are to serve backward compatibility from web app web application. Okay, that's from the web platform. Interesting. That's mind blowing. That's pretty mind blowing to know about that. And that'll be all for this video. Take care. Bye bye.